RotoGrinders. Welcome to the DFS pregame show here on RotoGrinders. I'm Jordan Cooper, aka BlenderEd, Blender HD. If you want to follow me on Twitter, and it's Monday, so you know what we do on Mondays. It's Mondays with McCool, James McCool, paydirt_DFS, the co-author with me of the Theory of Daily Fantasy Sports. It's a 15-hour audio DFS masterclass you could pick up at theoryofdfs.com. And joined with the chat as always, right? I see it's a pretty light day, in the chat. Max Cooper just joined. Oh, good morning, people in the chat. Feel free to hit the thumbs up button. Give me those thummy thumbs. Give me the thummy thumbs. Hit the subscribe button if you're new here. Hit the notification bell to know when we go live. Okay, now the chat's going through. Okay. That Alexander Malkow says, I want to purchase the Theory of DFS course for my pops. For your pops. Can you speak to the course during today's show? Okay, well, I mean, if you watch this show each and every day, and you'll know that we talk about the DFS strategy, game theory, right? The numbers, how to play it like it's a math game. So if you want to know more about it, just go to theoryofdfs.com. Feel free to watch as many DFS pregame shows. Feel free to go into our RotoGrinders Discord. It's what we talk about all the time, right? Right, James? 15 hours of me and you talking about everything you'll possibly need to know, the concepts that separate the average players from the great players, but understanding that the great players don't especially in GPP don't win every week. And in GPP, I didn't lose all my money, but cash made up for it. So I had a good week cash wise because I decided that Jeff Wilson Jr. was a priority in cash.
Yeah, there we go. Jeff Wilson Jr., the hero. I had an okay week. I lost like $50. I actually
you cashed one. You got one lineup, right? I see this 161.78 lineup in the Power Suite.
Pretty good one. Overall, I mean, I think that the week was pretty easy to break down. Like I had Buffalo and Arizona pretty far above everybody else in terms of like GPP stacks. I even had Baltimore as the fifth best stack on the slate, which is hilarious, even with Tyler Huntley. But overall, I mean, cash was pretty easy this week as well, right? Like I'm trying to.
It wasn't that easy. I think you had to make some choices. Like my aggregate, like I played in DK cash. In FanDuel cash, I played a very I think I literally played my aggregate. Yeah. So I played Murray, Robinson, Elliott, Parker, Johnson, Adams, Gesicki, Wilson Jr. in the Cowboys defense.
Okay.
And that's what I did on FanDuel. So I did well on FanDuel. But
yeah,
on DraftKings,
I think the cash core that I came up with: Devontae Parker, James Robinson, Devontae Adams, Christian Kirk, Tua Tagovailoa, and Deontay Johnson. That's what I would have had in cash as a break. And then like, I don't know, I probably would have gone with Jeff Wilson. I'm like going to look at where I had ownership. I would have wanted Deebo Samuel. I don't think I could have afforded him. It probably would have been Myles Gaskin. I think that one made sense. Probably would have been, I don't think I could have afforded Stephon Diggs, but Jeff Wilson, Brandon Cooks, and Myles Gaskin would have been there as well.
Okay, because my aggregate had Amon-Ra St. Brown, which he came up well in my aggregate. I mean, I played him in GPP. I played him with my Kyler Murray stacks.
I played Reynolds.
Yeah, you could have played either, but I mean, you could have. I mean, they both.
Yeah,
you could play golf, right?
It's fine. Yeah.
But the thing is, that, like for cash games, like when people say like ownership in cash games, like doesn't matter. Oh, just build the best lineup and it doesn't matter. I don't necessarily agree with that. Depending on if you have to choose between multiple lineups that are within a point or so of projection, I lean more towards playing the construction that has the most ownership, right, James? A lot of times you optimize by trying to optimize for ownership rather than fantasy points.
That's exactly what I do. Yeah.
Right. So I look at this lineup and I go, who is going to be popular that at least projects well? And that typically the guys that are going to be popular project well enough, but they may be 1 point lower in my aggregate versus the field, but the field is just going to play them anyway. I'd rather not sacrifice that I'd rather sacrifice the point to gain the ownership. I knew Gabriel Davis was going to be chalk in cash.
Yeah.
Right. So I look at my thing here and I go, no one's playing St. Brown in cash. I know that for sure.
Yeah.
And Beasley probably not either. They're going to play Davis instead of Beasley. So what I'll do is that I'll look at this and I'll go, okay, even though this is the highest median projected lineup, if I build 100 lineups, the top 1 to the top 100 is like 2 points.
Yeah.
So it's like, now it just comes down to like, which one do I want to play? Okay. Now, if I'm going to play a million slates, like I don't mind just playing the top optimal in my aggregate and just waiting till the end of my life and then showing a profit at the end. But if you're going to deviate, I'm going to deviate based on ownership and based on standard deviation.
Yeah.
So the standard I want players that have a tighter range of outcomes than a wider range of outcomes. So like, for instance, here, I look at this and I go, okay, well, I'm going to play Gabriel Davis in whatever lineup I play because I know he's going to be popular, right? I know Devontae Parker is going to be popular. So this is a 2 cheap wide receiver build. I know Robinson's going to fit into every lineup anyway, but I'm just going to plug him in there. Then I press optimize, and then I get this lineup. So I get a Murray, Gaskin, Cook. I get Cooks here, Gesicki, Adams, Bills defense. Now I know the Bills defense is also going to be the most owned defense. So I'm going to click them in. Okay. Now I look at this lineup and I go, not bad, but I'm never a big fan of playing Brandon Cooks with Davis Mills throwing the ball. What I try to avoid in cash games is playing players from bad teams.
Yeah.
So like Michael Carter projected decently, Brandon Cooks projected decently. And it's like, do I want to live and die on a hill where I'm playing a Texan or a Jet?
Right.
No. I mean, no problem in GPP. So I look at this lineup and go, I really don't want to play Cooks, right? Is there a way for me not to play Cooks? So I'll X him out and then I'll run it again. Okay. Then I get the lineup that I played.
Yeah.
Murray, Robinson, Gaskin, Davis, Parker, Deontay Johnson, George Kittle, Jeff Wilson Jr.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I typically don't want to pay up that much for tight end. And I don't have Devontae Adams in here. But like, I don't mind that much because I'm just getting everyone that I want. I'm not scared of Gesicki. And also, once I start plugging in Gesicki, I got 3 Dolphins in my lineup.
Yeah.
Is that a I don't know. Do I want to rely on my entire slate on the Dolphins? Maybe not. But I look at this lineup and I go, okay, I'm getting pretty much like 80% of the 49ers attacked who have a 28 total against the Atlanta. Deontay Johnson's going to be popular, going to be like 40+% owned, and he's a target monster. So like, okay, I don't mind that. Gaskin, I don't care that much about.
Yeah.
Like Gaskin and Wilson, it's like, what do I do at the running back positions? This seemed like a slate where I'd rather just play 2 running backs. So what I was considering at lock, right before lock, was do I play double tight end? Do I play Gesicki over Wilson? Because I knew Gesicki was going to be popular also, and Kittle would be less popular. But looking at this, at my projections, Wilson was projected for almost a point higher than Gesicki, and it avoided me having 3 Dolphins in my life. I could have also gone down from Murray to Tua.
Yeah.
Like if I go down from Murray to Tua, where is he? Where did he go? Did I already exclude him? Yeah. Oh, he's not even in here. Okay, let's go. Right. And I get the little glitch over here. If I put in Tua, I believe I get up to Devontae Adams.
Yeah. I think you go up to Devontae Adams from Deontay Johnson.
But I still have more money even for that. Okay, so if I could click here, if I play Tua instead, right?
Yep, there's Christian Kirk.
Yeah. Right, Christian Kirk, Davis, Parker, Kirk, Adams. So I don't have Deontay Johnson in my lineup, but I still have like I still have 3 Miami players, right? And then if I play Josh Allen, who's 200 more expensive, obviously I could go down from the Bills to the Jaguars defense if I wanted to. But then I get Gesicki, Adams, and I leave 600 on the table. And I have Kirk in here, right? But I looked at this from a touch perspective. I believe that this lineup, not considering whether or not Duke Johnson was actually going to be the lead running back for the Dolphins yesterday, I believe this lineup, I jammed in the most amount of touches, as well as played the highest owned players. The guy that, if I had a choice, I wouldn't have played Gabriel. I thought Gabriel Davis was the shakiest part of this roster.
I think
like if I had a choice not to play Gabriel Davis, I would have in a vacuum, other than the fact that he was like 56% owned in cash.
Yeah.
Right. Adams was 70 in my $100 double up was 72% owned in cash. And then you probably think, well, why don't you want to play a 72% owned player in cash? Well, he's 8,900. Like the cheap guy is the guy that I have to worry about, right? Truthfully, the defense I have to worry about, right? The high variance players. I want in cash games, typically, given a choice, and the lineups are fairly similar to one another, I'd rather eat the high variance play chalk and fade that in GPP. Because the high variant, like Gabriel Davis putting up 25 points yesterday and me not having him at 3,700 is much different than Devontae Adams putting up 35 at 8,900.
Right.
I can make that up. I can't make up Davis or Parker.
Right.
So looking at this, it's like, well, I'm just going to block with Dave. His upside at his price, I can't find anywhere else. He could have easily just had a game that was 3 for 20. But that I don't lose because of that, because so much of the field has it.
Right.
Devontae Adams, if he only puts up 16 points, I can win in a million different ways, right? With all these types of players. So, I mean, I know we don't talk about cash that much on this show, but it's like I played a lineup that was nowhere near the top optimal based on my aggregate, in the top 50. But the thought process behind who do you choose? Like I looked at my FanDuel lineup and said, it's exactly who I want to play. I mean, I'm able to get everyone in. The only thing I wanted to play Kittle instead of Gesicki, but there was really no way for me to do it while still maintaining all the players that I needed to have. Like I needed to have Robinson. I needed to Wilson on FanDuel, much easier to play. I just looked at this lineup and said, I got everyone. The only person that could burn me would be Kittle, and he's an expensive player, so I'm not, and he's at tight end.
Yeah.
So like I'm rarely going to get burned in cash by an expensive tight end. So that was my cash process. But obviously, me prioritizing Davis and Parker in cash didn't have much in GPP, and that didn't do me very well. When the cheap chalk receivers get there, I'm typically not going to have. Yeah, Kirk got there also, even though I had Murray stacks. Like I played James. When I played Davis, I only played him with Allen. I only played Parker with Tua, and I only played Kirk with Murray. So I think I may have played one lineup without. I played like a Kirk St. Brown secondary stack, but like I built 20 lineups, and obviously I had them in all single entry stuff, but I threw them in the milli or 18 lineups, I guess, and not many did that well. I mean, I had some real duds. I had Ben Roethlisberger, right? I'd rather it be this way. I'd rather look at a lineup and be like, yeah, this lineup is like barely going to score 70 points. Rather than have a whole bunch of lineups that are sitting at like 110 and off the cash line, right?
Yeah.
Right in the middle. So yeah, I played a bunch of like Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup, CeeDee Lamb type of one-offs, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase. I played a bunch of Devonta Freeman. That didn't work out, even though the Ravens did well, but Huntley did work the passing and right. I mean, he was Lamar Jackson pretty much yesterday. But yeah, so my GPPs not so hot. I'm not complaining about my decisions. It's just that when I'm not playing Davis or Parker or Kirk really as one-offs, like my one-offs, like Jerry Jeudy, 0. Like that got me nothing. Yeah. Right. But I'm looking here like Murray, Ertz, Kirk, St. Brown, great. But then Amari Cooper sitting here with 2 points. Yeah. Right. T. Higgins, 4 points. Like I'm going off the board. I mean, 9% Cooper, it's 6% Higgins. When I was looking for those single-digit type of one-offs. So here's a Tua lineup that I played Parker and Gesicki, but I got different by playing Zeke and Crowder in the line. Like Crowder as a run back and playing Devonta Freeman at 4.9% owned. Yeah. But like they didn't get there. I can't believe Debo was 20% owned.
I'm so tired of Debo.
I mean, he didn't really get there. 18.9 isn't really. He
No,
got
but
points.
he took another one of my touchdowns from Jeff Wilson.
And it was a regular running play. It wasn't even like one of these like reverses or anything.
Oh,
It was literally just a counter, just like Debo's lined up as a running back and he runs just in between the guard and the tackle. And it's like, okay, I guess they're just running Debo as a running back running.
He has 7 rushing touchdowns on the year.
Is that the most rushing touchdown for a wide receiver ever in a season?
It's got to be close. I don't understand. Like I keep saying to myself, and I said it yesterday in the Discord, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna prioritize Jeff Wilson Jr. because like he's getting the usage, he's getting like plenty of touches. It's still the best running team in the NFL. Like they're a big favorite over a bad team. Like I'm just gonna keep playing Jeff Wilson Jr. until he pays off. And then I said,
and he was lower owned than I thought. I mean, because people were scared of Debo, and they came. More people played Michael Carter.
Yeah. Oh, he was 27% owned in the power sweep. It's weird.
The Jets had a 16-point implied
That's
total.
what I said. I was like,
San Francisco had a 28-point implied total.
Even if you give him a 70-70 split of the rushing yards and touchdowns and like a 10-10 split of the receiving work, which like he doesn't even get receiving work when Zach Wilson is playing QB, he's only projected for like 10 points or something. Because they have a 16-point total. What do you want from a running back in that spot? It was weird.
Did you only have him for 10 point?
I think. I don't know. Let me go check.
Let me take a look.
It was low. It was really low.
Oh, I got rid of Carter and Harris here.
Oh yeah, I have him for 12.
Let me take a look. 12?
Yeah.
I had him at 13.77.
Okay. Yeah.
In the aggregate.
But
still, I mean, it's still like his salary adjusted value was plus 1.6. I mean, like, his ceiling is non-existent. I mean, like, just like.
I thought. Go for it.
No, I'm just highlighting the fact, like, well, why would you rather play Devonta Freeman and not play Michael Carter, even though Devonta Freeman is lower projected? Like, I had Devonta Freeman at 12.59 at 5,500. Yeah. Well, with Huntley in, Baltimore is more likely to run the ball or dump off the ball. I mean, in general, running back fantasy performance ceilings are highly correlated with the implied team total of the teams
and the spread.
But even just the team total, because ceilings for running backs typically come from touchdowns. Yep. And a team with the higher implied team total is more likely going to be into scoring positions inside the 10 multiple times per game rather than the Jets, or like people play David Johnson. And I'm like, I ain't playing a Texans running back, right? Like I played like 2 lineups with Barkley, and I didn't even want to do that, right? But he sometimes lines up at wide receiver, so I don't mind that as much. Craig Reynolds got there. I mean, who knows? I mean, that game was just flipped on its head.
I had a Craig Reynolds lineup.
I think it was sharp yesterday to play Devin Singletary when Moss was inactive.
That was an interesting thought. I hate the Buffalo running back carousel, and
that's the whole point. Like that, it's not just the team total. It's also like, well, they're splitting it 4 different ways, and who knows what's going to happen. That's a different story. But when in doubt, I lean towards running backs that are on favored sides that are more likely to get touched. So I look at Jeff Wilson and go, why? Like, that's why Najee Harris really did not project that well. I mean, the slate for running back was pretty bad outside of James Robinson.
I have never seen my projections so low on running backs. Ever. Like I was pretty shocked when I saw what the projections were coming up for running backs. I didn't have a single running back projected over 16 fantasy points.
Oh, wow. Okay. I have a couple. I have 3. Yeah, 3.
Yeah, like I said, I was shocked. Like I was blown away. I had Javonte Williams as my top overall running back.
Javonte?
Yeah.
Why?
Weird. It's just a weird.
Were you giving him more of a split with even with Gordon in?
I mean, I've had him and Gordon have been like, Gordon has been somewhere around like 50 to 55% of the rushing work and 40 to 45% of the rushing touchdowns. And then Javonte Williams ended up, he's usually around a 40-40 split, something like that. You got to give a little bit to Teddy Bridgewater. But his touchdown usage, his receiving usage, like he's looked good over the last couple of weeks. But
what did you have his projection at?
I think I had it at like 16.
Oh, 14 for me. Okay. You didn't even play him in any of your lineups.
Well, no, because I didn't want to play. I'm not going to play like that. My strategy this week was basically I want to be paying down at running back and mostly avoiding the chalk. That was because when I see projections like these from running backs, like in my model, it's like, okay, well, if I think that every single running back is going to suck on the slate, I just don't want to eat bad chalk. I was fine with James Robinson. I had James Robinson projected pretty well. So I did have him in one lineup, but like I had Craig Reynolds, I had Jeff Wilson Jr., I had Cordell Patterson. Like I pretty much just tried to avoid what I considered to be terrible chalk across the board.
It didn't seem like outside of Robinson, there really wasn't like chalk. Carter in the power sweep was 24.79% owned.
I was pretty shocked by that.
Well, you played him in one lineup.
I have him at 16%. I was okay at 16%, but 25%, man.
Well, look at Gabe Davis. He was 25% owned in the power sweep also.
Yeah, I didn't have Gabe Davis projected that high either.
What did you have Davis at?
Well, no, I mean like in terms of ownership. I had him for a projection of 13, but only at 15% ownership.
No, he was going to be 20 plus. Yeah, that was easy.
Well, yeah, and like I figured that he was going to be high owned, but like I don't usually like to go in and touch the back end of like the ownership algorithms. So like when I see 15, obviously you and I look at that and we're like, okay, yeah, I know that he's going to be higher owned than that.
Just like Parker, like I knew like Parker's going to be like ridiculous.
Yeah.
34% owned in the milli. 34% owned. Like that's why I'm not playing him outside of a Tua stack. Like I just like I'm if he burns me, he burns me. Like do I have an Allen lineup here? What was? Let's see. I'm gonna go through Allen. Davis was 18.98 in the milli maker.
Okay, so my projection wasn't that far off.
No, it wasn't that far. But Davis was obviously higher owned in the higher stakes.
Yeah. And that's why you and I have to think a little bit differently about the ownership stuff when we do play like the higher stuff than you have.
Right, well, that's why I looked at the Davis ownership. It's like yeah, 18 in the milli, but 25 in the powers. Like I'm just not going to play a one-off like that. Like for that, when there's other guys. When I play. You know who I played a bunch of? Albert Wilson.
I don't hate that at all. I think that's a good decision. That was smart. I mean, Devontae.
Other than the fact that Parker got the touchdown. But I figure the thing is that I figured that Wilson did not project poorly, didn't project great, but with Gaskin and Parker and Gesicki being chalky enough, it's like how do the Dolphins get there? Who puts up the ceiling? Like how about the little slot receiver, Albert Wilson? I didn't realize that it was Duke Johnson season. Finally, people have been asking for it seemingly for 3 or 4 years. They got it. And he was, I think in the milli, he was 0.1% owned. Like a
legend. Yeah.
He wasn't in the winning lineup or anything.
It was a really, I think that, like I was saying at the beginning of this, like, I think that it was a pretty like kind of telegraphed week. I did kind of the same thing where a couple weeks back we had Tampa Bay and Buffalo like as the marquee game on the slate. And I kind of like in that week, I just kind of forced in Tampa Bay and Buffalo players in all three of my lineups. I did kind of the same thing this week with Buffalo and Arizona because like every other game was just so trash. We had 2 games above a 45 over under. Right. No games above a 50. And
no games above 48.
Insane this week. And that's why, of course, the projections that I had for running backs and for wide receivers were like way low, was because like the over-unders for Vegas were just terrible. But Buffalo and Arizona were the only teams that projected well, that had good value. Like no DeAndre Hopkins gives Christian Kirk and AJ Green a significant boost. Buffalo is Buffalo. After that, I guess you probably could have looked at Green Bay. I had a Pittsburgh lineup mostly because of Deontay Johnson and because Pittsburgh is so pass heavy in the red zone. But then after that, it's like I'm not playing San Francisco stacks, and I think it's silly that anybody has been. I'm not touching Atlanta, Detroit, Houston, Tennessee, Carolina, New York Jets, Denver, Giants. I was okay with a Dallas stack, but they ended up not projecting well anyway. It was okay.
I played them regardless.
I didn't mind
Dallas.
I didn't mind Dallas. I mean, they do have the capacity to end up getting there, but the thing with Dallas, and this year especially, is that if they haven't needed to put their foot on the gas, they're just not going to.
I was hoping that the game was competitive.
You were hoping it was competitive with Mike the Net Glennon at QB for the Giants?
Who knows?
Oh, bro. That's a bad business decision, I think.
Who knows? It was such a low scoring totals that do I need 50 to 35 game? No, I did just give me 4 Dak touchdowns and then
I get it. No.
Right. I mean, it wasn't sacrifice. Like the opportunity cost on stacks this week was not like dramatic. You wanted to play off the board stuff. I played Ben Roethlisberger for crying out loud.
So did I.
Okay, so don't do it. Oh my God, they're playing the Cowboys with Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, Dalton Schultz.
My
horrible, but Ben Roethlisberger and John Claypool and
my point here was not that Dallas would not be able to put up points. My point of saying it was a bad business decision was that I didn't think that it would be competitive at all. That was the point that I was trying to make there, and I said it on stream and I said it on the video that morning that. I didn't think that you really needed to, if you were not game stacking Buffalo or Arizona, I don't think that you needed to do game stacks this week. I wouldn't have prioritized them. If I'd have played Dallas, I'm not playing anybody from the Giants. If I'd have played Cincinnati, I'm not playing anybody from Denver. Like if I play, there were multiple stacks where like, I just didn't think that you needed to play anybody back.
Well, you didn't have to play anyone back from Buffalo, even though I played DJ Moore because I thought DJ Moore was a good play.
Yeah, and I played DJ Moore as well. I thought that he was okay because he's been getting like 8, 9, 10 targets since Cam Newton came back. That's fine, but like I think
but the Jets, the fact that I'm like, okay, the only reason I played a Crowder is because playing Tua plus Gesicki plus Parker was just such a popular combination
that you needed to get different with it.
Right. That it's like, how do I get different? Do I get different with a one-off or do I get different if I'm going to play a 5K level receiver? Why don't I just play Crowder and just hope this game is much more competitive, especially since Michael Carter was going to be like, I would think that more people are going to play Carter as the run back. So it's like, let me play Crowder. Okay, done. You know, like I didn't play Reynolds because I just thought Amon-Ra St. Brown was going to be low enough owned. He projected too well. And I'm just like, all my Murray stacks are basically Murray, Kirk, Brown. Like, and Murray, I mean, dude, what's the coaching in the NFL?
Dude, I'm annoyed about it.
Is insane. Like the Cardinals lost that game. Like it all came down kicking those 2 field goals. It comes down. People don't question like, oh, the Cardinals that they crap the bed. It's like, no, they could have. It's not a difference of whether or not they could have won the game. I think how I put it is that a lot of these coaching decisions are based around, obviously based around being able to justify them to a dumb fan base. It doesn't matter if you lose 30-12 or 30-28. So it's like, but it would be much better to put yourself in position to be in 30-28 with 45 seconds left to go in the clock than benching your starting quarterback because you're 3 touchdowns behind, regardless. And you've wasted so much time because you came down the field and on the 3-yard line kicking field goals.
Yeah.
Right. And then you get like Staley for the Chargers, who, I mean, whenever I see him talk, I'm like, this is a good coach.
Yeah.
Right. They came out, they did the correct things to increase their win probability, went like 0 for 4 on them. And now he's like, well, why did you decide to do those things? It's like, well, because that helped. That I'm going to do whatever it takes to increase the chance of winning. I also saw, not to go on a rant, that I mean, we talk about the commentators being idiots also. When it's 4th and 1 on your opposing 40-yard line, and they say, and the commentator goes, they're going to take a gamble. Like, dude, 4th and 1 has like a gain probability of like 80%. Like that, and they're on the opposing side of the field when they're gonna, instead of trying to attempt a 57-yard field goal, that a 57-yard field goal has less likelihood of converting than a 4th and 1. Yet they talk about, oh, I can't believe they're not getting taken. Or when they go down to, they're on the 6-yard line and it's 4th and 6. And it's like, I don't know why they're not taking the points. It's like, because they have more of a chance of win. What's the completion percent, conversion percentage of 4th and 6 for the 4th and goal from the 6-yard line? Well, it's over 50%. So would you rather get over 50%, get 7 points? Or would you rather 96% of the time get 3 points? And the worst case scenario is you don't get the touchdown and the other team has the ball with 94 yards to go.
Right.
And most likely, I would say 60 to 70% of the time, you'll get the ball back without them scoring at all. So like once you combine these things together, like these decisions should almost be obvious. And then we have Harbaugh, like the whole thing with the Ravens, with the not going for 2 and then going for 2. Like James, it frustrates me so much. How do people not get this? How do people not just get mad? Like I saw, like, why don't we just call analytics math?
Right.
Like, it's like, oh, if you were to say, oh, I did it because of addition. Like, it's just addition. It's not this fancy, they put it into a black box and it comes out, oh, go for it. It's like, no, it's simply how do you want to win the game? Well, you have to get a touchdown, a 2-point conversion, and an extra point. The order in which you do that really does not matter, but you'd rather know if you need to go for 2 at the end before than after, than be put in a situation like they were, where they could have kicked it to tie or gone for it to win. Well, if you converted the 2-point conversion first, you would have kicked the extra point to win the game, right? That would have been an easy decision at the end. If you miss the 2-point conversion first, you need to go for the 2-point conversion anyway to tie the game. So like, in which progression do you have a higher win probability? Going for 2 the first time and then just kicking the extra point because you're going to still need another touchdown regardless. Like, it boggles my mind when the team, when they're down the 2 touchdowns, like, and the commentators are like, why are they going for 2? It's like, it comes back to that same point of like that. Well, they want to keep it within a 1-score game. It doesn't matter if you lose the game by 50 points or 2 points. It doesn't matter. Right. There's no goal differential, right, in football. So it's like, just do whatever it has the higher win probability. How do people not get this by now, James? Like, and this happens on Twitter all the time, right? Obviously, we follow smart people, so it's mostly the smart people yelling at idiots.
Yeah.
But I see some of the comments and I go, it's addition. It's literally addition.
It's not hard. It's just what it is it's playing not to lose, right? Instead of playing to win. That's the adage where coaches and commentators and like these old heads in the NFL, because the NFL is basically all old heads outside of like 7 people in the entire,
and the TV broadcasters.
Yeah, it's all terrible. And all of them are basically like, oh, well, if you do this, then it looks worse if it doesn't work. And it's like, that's only because you're dealing with idiots who think that it looks worse. Like, you have to play to win. The thing that frustrates me the most is when a team is playing like the Chiefs or the Bucks and they get down within the 10 and they kick a field goal.
Right. You're not going to beat them that way because these are the teams that are going to go for it all the time.
You think that you're going to beat the Chiefs or the Bucks with field goals? most of the time. Like the Chiefs or the Bucks are going to hang 30 on you. Like most games, Tom Brady is going to throw for 5 touchdowns. And you want to take one of your few opportunities in the red zone to kick a field goal and get half the points that he's going to get after he gets the ball back. And worse, if you miss that field goal, you're screwed. Like they're just going to eat you alive. The way that I see it, I think that any team that is willing to do whatever it takes to score the most points, not just score some points, but like the most possible points, not more than your opponent, like literally as many points you can possibly score. Those are the teams that are going to continue to do well for the next 5 years. And any team, like we see it with the Broncos, we see it with the Seahawks, Pete Carroll, right? We see it with the Jets. We see it with the Giants, like these teams that just have this, oh, well, we just want to try to lose gracefully if we're going to lose. Like, no, dude, it doesn't matter. You don't get brownie points.
They want to be able to have a justifiable loss.
Right, but the thing
rather than win that, rather than increase their chance of winning.
If people were smart, then the justifiable loss would be going for 2 every single time if you're down by 20. That's a justifiable loss. At least you
punting their teams. When the Cardinals, they're down by 21 and they kick a field goal, and I'm just like, what? It's 4 minutes to go in the third quarter. I mean, we're not talking about early in the game. Like, dude, you may only have you need 3 scores to win, and you may only have 3 possessions, and this is one of them. And now you put yourself in the position to need 3 scores.
And like, it's the freaking Lions, dude. You're telling me that you, with Kyler Murray and with like a good offense and a smart coach, and like you're supposed to be one of the best teams in the NFL, you're telling me that you don't think you can score on the Lions? So you're going to kick a field goal? That's your strategy here.
Go from 21 points down to 18 points down. What did that do for you?
Awesome. That's still a 3
Nothing. Nothing. But it's very similar to like in basketball. I mean, take a look at what the teams are doing in basketball now. Like, it seems like most of the teams get it now. Like, you don't see teams taking elbow jumpers anymore, right? Like everyone is coming close to playing like the Rockets.
Yep.
Right? It's just like either it's going to be even all our shots are going to be within 6 feet of the basket or 21 feet of the basket, right? It's going to be either or, nothing in between, because the field goal rates, you either want a 90+% field goal rate for 2 points, or you want a 40% field goal rate for 3 points. But there's no point in having a 48% field goal rate for 2 points by just moving up 3 or 4 feet. So like, all those types of mid-range jumpers or whatever are like, God, but the thing is that when you watch the broadcasts and everything, and when you see, like, no one talks about, like, why are they going for too many 3-pointers? Like, that's never have you ever heard that be a talking point in the NBA?
Actually, yeah. I saw somebody write an article about how Steph Curry ruined basketball because people take too many threes now.
Maybe if you want to say ruin from an entertainment, ruin from something not related to winning.
So there is a little bit of an argument that I've seen a couple people make, and it's a dumb argument. It's not even an argument. It's just a stupid statement. But like, people say, oh, well, if you take all these threes and you don't make them, then what happens? You're going to lose the game. And it's like
the same thing if you don't make the 2-pointers.
Point, man. That's not the point. It's one of the reasons why we see in the NBA we have so many more blowouts now, and it's because people are maximizing their shot chances and their shot selection and stuff like that, which is good. The blowouts are not the problem in the NBA. Like, if people want to complain and be like, oh, well, the games are less exciting, it's like they don't care. They don't care. They just want to win the game. Every single NBA game in history has come down to the last 5 minutes. Why do you watch the entire game anyway? Like, outside of that, I would almost rather have a team blow out another team by 21 or like 26 or whatever before the fourth quarter, and then I don't even have to worry about the last 5 minutes anymore. Now the game is already over, so that's fine.
I'd rather watch that than watch an 86-80 game that's played at a snail's pace,
Right.
With more than half the plays being post-ups.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. Like the people who are like purists of any sport, the people who are purists of any sport are the worst. So they're just like, oh, well, this isn't the way the sport should be played. It's like, no, that's because you're old and decrepit and you don't think that fun things are fun. It's because you think that everything is terrible and you need to go sit down in your rocker. Like, it's just old people being old people and purist fans being the worst. That's all it is.
Like, but the thing I don't get about the NFL is that the correct things to do are actually more entertaining, and the product sucks so much as it is that I'd much like who shows up for a game and says I hope to see my both teams punt on their own 42-yard line on 4th and 4. Like who shows up for that? And they take the team that takes the delay of game penalty so they get more of an angle to punt. If you're taking penalties in order to get a better angle on the punt, you probably should have gone for it, right? Like who shows up? What you want? Any kid that plays like Madden, right? If two kids are playing Madden, no one punts. Like no one wants to. That no one goes into a game going, I'm going to punt on the 4th and 1 so I can pin my opponent. No, they fake punts, people going for it 4th and 11 on their own 10-yard line. It doesn't matter. Like that may be a mistake, but because it's more people, the kids do it because it's more fun. When people play video games, they want to play for fun. And you'd figure that in the NFL, why don't like if they just eliminate extra points? Right?
You want to know. You ask who goes to a game and it's just like, yeah, punts and field goals and running plays. You want to know who likes that kind of stuff? Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll loves that. He goes to bed hard thinking about it. Like that dude is absolutely in the worst kind of games. And the problem is that he's a coach.
What team did I see? What team did it yesterday? Where it was 3rd and 11. It was 3rd and goal from the 11. And they ran a draw play to and he got 8 yards to the 3. Then they called a timeout, and then they kicked the field goal. And I said, like, whoever's in charge of that sequence and events, it just like, who wants to see that? It's not only is it incorrect mathematically to do, it's also piss poor entertainment. All like. Even just improving that, like, why would you be against doing the right thing that is more entertaining? I can understand, like, for instance, in baseball, I get the complaints. The correct way to play in baseball makes the game much less entertaining.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I understand if the mindset is playing optimally is alienating fans because the game has become so much more binary and boring. So we don't want people to play in the optimal way to increase that. Now, in the NBA, the optimal way is more exciting.
Right.
And the optimal way in NFL is more exciting, yet you still have the people that are talking about, well, you still have the same thing. I mean, I heard it 10 years ago and I thought that was stupid. Like, it's like these people just don't understand math and logic.
Right.
Of the team, all the winning teams always have rushed the ball more. Like, yeah, because when they're up late in the game, they're going to run out the clock. Like it's causation versus correlation. Aren't you a grown adult? How do you not get this?
You know what we should be talking about? We should be talking about teams that have high rush rates in the 4th quarter. Right? Not overall. Like that's at least a little bit better. Yeah, let's stop talking about teams that like, oh, the best teams always have the most rushing attempts. It's like, no. Let's talk about how many rushing attempts teams have in the 4th quarter, and let's judge teams based on that, right? Because if you're rushing a lot in the 4th quarter, you likely have a lead. You likely won the first 3 quarters. The other team has to be passing from behind. Actually, I'm going to go look that up right now.
The other thing is that when they talk about rushing attempts in general, they're talking about a raw number, not a percentage. So it's like, yeah, the teams that have the most rushing attempts in a game are typically the winners because they have more plays in the game because they've scored a whole bunch of times. It's like, oh yeah, this team ran the ball 30 times and they won. Yeah, they ran 74 plays. 44 were passes.
All right. Here is the list. In the fourth quarter, weeks 1 through 14, all yardage included, so the entire field. The team with the highest pass rate in the league is the New York Jets at 82%.
Right, because they're down all the time.
And then Detroit at 76, Houston 76, Jaguars 74, New York Giants 73. Do we see a trend here?
That the worst teams pass? No, that if I was Pete Carroll, I'd look at that and go, it seems like the worst teams pass to me.
He would.
Right. So obviously you have to pass less.
The lowest pass rate in the fourth quarter across the entire league.
I'm assuming Cincinnati.
Arizona.
Okay.
45% pass rate. Overall,
and that's still not that high. That's still not that high of a rushing rate.
Cleveland at 48. And so these two teams that
are very rush heavy
are very heavy rushing teams. So Cleveland 48, New England 48 pass rate. Indianapolis 53. So already like they are passing more than they are running still in fourth quarter. And then Tennessee 54%.
These are all teams with winning records.
Indeed they are. And then Cincinnati, Green Bay, Philadelphia, but you can see if a team has a really, really high pass rate in the fourth quarter, they probably suck. And that's because they're having to pass from behind and try to catch up. You can use some really, you don't even have to abandon the, rushing teams have a winning record. You can keep that. Just specify now moving forward the fourth quarter, or take it a step farther and be smart about it and say the teams with the highest pass rate in the fourth quarter are the worst teams in the league.
Well, can you look up the first quarter?
Yeah, I can.
So look up the teams with the highest pass rate in the first quarter. I want to know the lowest pass. We're looking for the lowest pass rate in the first quarter.
Okay, so I'm only going to include between the 20s because I want to take out the red zone here.
Okay.
The team with the lowest pass rate in the first quarter is New England, 48%.
Okay.
And then Detroit.
They're a losing team.
Carolina, losing team.
Losing
Denver,
team.
Losing team.
Losing
San
team.
Francisco, but they are the best rushing team in the league.
Yes.
They are exceptional at rushing. And then Philadelphia. And then Houston, losing team.
Losing team.
Washington, losing team.
Losing team.
Chicago, losing team. And then Dallas. Dallas has a very good running game.
Right. You're gonna see, like the Browns mixed. You're gonna see things like that mixed in, but you're gonna see predominant in the first. If you're rushing the ball a lot in the first quarter, it doesn't connotate that you're a winning. It doesn't connotate you're a winning team. Right. And actually, there's more losing teams that are running too much in the first quarter. Because what ends up happening is that when the Lions face a better team, they rush the ball, end up getting to the 28-yard line, kick a field goal, and then the other team comes back and gets a touchdown, right? And then they're down 7-3, so they continue to rush the ball more and then end up punting, and now they're down 14-3. But it's the second quarter. We can come back from 11, so we'll run the ball on 2nd and 10 for no reason, right?
Yeah.
Right. So we could set up a 3rd and 7 because we all know that 3rd and 7 and 3rd and 10 are so dramatically different situations to be in. And then if we're the Steelers and we're on 3rd and 7, we're going to make sure to throw a 5-yard pass.
Yeah, absolutely vital.
And then punt on 4th and 2 from the opposing 45-yard line. And you wonder why you're losing games.
To close out this segment, in the first quarter, the highest pass rates. Number 1, Arizona. Makes sense. Number 2, Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay, Buffalo.
Chargers.
Yeah.
Number 4, Miami. Miami has been high pass rate all year, so
yes,
kudos to them. And then Kansas City. And then Las Vegas, who looked good at start. And then the Rams. And then Cincinnati. And then Buffalo. And then the Giants. Giants should be a better team. But they're not. And then Cleveland. At 64%.
Yeah, but it's also Daniel Jones throwing the ball. Daniel, it's a lot of passing in the first quarter because he's throwing it to the other team.
Right. But even Cleveland, I mean, this is one of the reasons why Cleveland has a decent identity here. Cleveland overall has only a 57% pass rate overall. It's one of the lowest in the league. But in the first quarter, they are still one of like the top 10 teams in pass rate, because what they do is they pass, set up tempo, and then start running after they've established themselves in the game. They understand, like, Stefanski's not an idiot. If they had anybody but Baker Mayfield, like, well, not anybody, but if they had an upgrade from Baker Mayfield, Cleveland would be like so good. Stefanski's good. They're smart. They have a great rushing game. They have a good O-line. They have a competent defense, but they have Baker Mayfield. So they're just not Super Bowl contenders because Baker Mayfield is he's like the 20th best QB in the league.
Did you see the last pass that Cam Newton threw yesterday?
No, I didn't.
You have to look it up. You have to. I almost want to show it on the. No one could tell me that he didn't purposely just want to end the game. He literally just threw it to the defender. I mean, like there's not. I don't know. Is it on Twitter? Can I find this? It was probably the most absurd pass I've ever seen an NFL quarterback make. Because you could not convince me that he either thought that the Bills player was his receiver, or he just was sick of tired of. They were down 2 scores late in the game. Like it was just like he just threw it to the other guy.
I mean, there's some pretty bad passes here. Not his last one yet, but yeah, there's this pass to Robbie Anderson that he just like throws it into the ground.
I don't know. It was.
Looking latest instead of top. I wonder if we can. Oh, but did you see that he ran for 71 yards yesterday?
Oh, wow. He's back.
Dude, he's been back. There's that GIF.
Where is this throw?
We're not going to find it.
Oh. Well, this is 2020. Where the. Oh, I look it up somewhere. If I don't know, I'm not going to look it up on the show. I was watching on Red Zone, and they're just like, okay, the Panthers. It's like a minute left in the game. They're down by 2 touchdowns or whatever, and Cam Newton drops back because I'm rooting for DJ Moore for my Buffalo stacks. And dude, like he passed back in a complete clean pocket, just threw an 8-yard pass, like whatever receiver Robbie Anderson whatever was like 10 yards away, like not even close. I mean, he it doesn't even look like he underthrew it. It looked like he had the same amount of zip that he would have if he wanted to throw it directly to the cornerback. And he just literally, he looked him straight in the eye and just said, here you go. And then got off the field and said, okay, I guess we're done now.
I don't know, man. I feel, so I've been a Panthers fan since Jake Delhomme was QB. So
How about Kerry Collins?
Oh my God, so long. It's been a rough tenure as a Panthers fan. I do have a Panthers jersey. I don't consider myself an actual fan of very many teams, but I have, since I was young, liked the Panthers. And this has been, the last couple of years have been rough. Because I don't even like Christian McCaffrey all that much. I thought it was a bad draft pick to begin with. And now he's dead. So now it's just Cam Newton and the corpse of Christian McCaffrey and what I assume to be Robbie Anderson, although I would believe you if you said that it was Waterboy instead. And it's just all bad. And I don't understand how people can be like super fans and go through this and like let their emotions be dictated by these kinds of things.
I don't see how people can be fans.
It's hard. It sucks. It's not fun. There's nothing fun about being a fan.
Everyone was hip hip hurraying because of all the postponements, and like we get NFL football on Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Did you see the games yesterday? This is awful. You want to watch it and with commercials and stoppages? What are we talking about here?
I saw that it was 8 games in 10 days, and I looked at Margaret and I was like, hey, baby, guess what? There's 8 NFL games. There's 8 days of NFL games over the next 10 days. And she just looked at me, she said, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, yeah, I'm not going to make it.
People in chat wanted to know what projection you had for Huntley.
Oh, for Huntley.
I had 17.36 in my aggregate.
You had what?
17.36.
19.
Okay, so it was a great play at that point. I had him as from a salary adjusted value standpoint. I had him as the sixth highest on the slate.
From a salary adjusted standpoint, I had The 4th.
Okay, yeah, because you're 2 points higher. The problem is that who to pair. I mean, if you're going to pair him with anyone, it would have been Andrews.
And I had Andrews as the top overall projected tight end. So it made
even
sense.
higher than Kittle.
Yep. Well, like the same, like exactly the same. 0.2 off. So, I mean, I was fine with Baltimore. I wrote basically like Andrews projects very, very well, and he's a little bit underpriced here. And I don't think he projected for all that much ownership. Yeah, he didn't. And I was fine with him, but I did give the caveat that it's like, this is Tyler Huntley, not Lamar Jackson. And I understand if you want to say, oh, that projection is too high. Like I said to myself even, and I noted it in the article, like my projection for Jeff Wilson is low, but like, I know that I'm under projecting him. So I am going to like ride him, even though the projection says that he's only projected for like 11 points. Like I want to take another shot on him because the usage is there. It just hasn't materialized yet. So there were a couple.
I mean, I was never going to play Huntley.
I was not going to play Huntley.
I'm not going to, in the long run, I'm not going to play stacks of teams that only have 18 point implied totals.
No, I totally understand. I get it.
Hey, for the Lions, right? Like, why didn't you play a Goff's? Like anyone that's looking and going, why didn't I play Huntley? I'm going to say, why didn't you play Goff? Because someone's going to go, well, how do you play Goff? Well, I'm going to say the same thing. How do you play? I mean,
right.
I just look at the numbers and go, I'm looking for ceilings and I need to pair him with someone. So Huntley, Andrews, Adams, I guess is viable, but why do I want the side? Why do I want Huntley when I'd rather have the Rodgers side? I mean, like in general, correlation wise, if we took all the data from now till the past, whatever, forever, implied team totals dictate the highest, why projections are the way they are.
Yep.
Teams that score the most points, run the most plays, and score the most, and be in the red zone to score more completions, more plays, more efficiency. Like so many people get strung up with, oh, in garbage time. Like you don't want, if you have a stack and they're in garbage time, that's bad for you. You want the stack that has already put up 45 points. You want the other team in garbage time. Like, even though you do see some receivers like, oh, the Cole Beasley gets there because he has 8 passes in the last 2 drives. That doesn't correlate to a ceiling outcome for a stack.
Right.
You want, if you have Cole Beasley, you don't want garbage time. You want Cole Beasley to have 2 touchdowns, 4 catches, 50 yards, 2 touchdowns, and Josh Allen to have 5 passing touch. Like, who's more likely to do that? The teams that have the highest implied team total.
The problem that people run into is they're like, oh, well, now my stack has garbage time. It's like, no. You don't want your quarterback to have garbage time. You want your wide receiver to have garbage time. It's fine if Cole Beasley gets there with 8 catches on the last 2 drives. But like, hopefully you had Cole Beasley as the comeback stack to the other team that now already has 45 points. But it's the same thing. Like the only thing that I would add to that, and the reason why I played a Pittsburgh stack, which I still don't want to talk about, but they were implied for 1.86 passing touchdowns, which was the 5th best on the slate.
Right.
Because they have such a high pass rate in the red zone. That's the only thing that will add in context of team totals. Other than that, like if you blindly just stacked the highest team totals on every slate and just optimized for the values outside of them, like you'll
probably be profitable. Yeah.
You'd be fine. You'd be fine. It even worked on this slate with Buffalo, with Gabriel Davis and Devontae Parker and Jeff Wilson. And like all you needed outside of that was like Mark Andrews and like fading Stephon Diggs, I guess. But I digress. Yeah, just play teams with high totals. Don't stack really terrible teams. It usually doesn't work out. I always say, like, even if a terrible quarterback projects well, like I had Trevor Lawrence projecting pretty well this week.
Right.
Even if a terrible quarterback projects well, I'm like, one, a very deep GPP play. Like if you have 20 lineups, you can have a Trevor Lawrence lineup. 2, I'm much more likely to just use his wide receivers as a secondary correlation or as a game stack correlation to the other side, because I don't want to take shots on these guys that are terrible. It just doesn't make much sense.
Not in the state of today's game. It used to. Vomit stacks made more sense when we had running backs like Le'Veon Bell and David Johnson. When we had 9K running backs that would regularly put up 35 to 40 points. And the only way to jam both of them in is by playing a vomit stack, right? Like,
because you still have a median expectation that is acceptable to be able to take on the leverage of the vomit stack. Like
like if I get two ceiling, if I'm able to play McCaffrey and peak Saquon Barkley or something like that, and their median projections are like 28 each.
Yeah.
Right. 26 and 28. It's like, if I get a 40 out of both of them, like the only way to fit both of them in is with a cheap quarterback, a cheap tight end, and at least one cheap wide receiver. And it's like, well, can I get a median outcome out of a stack? Can I play the Lions stack and get enough? All I need now is both of my running backs to put up ceiling scores, and I'm good, because the only way to do that is with some pretty shitty team,
and
putting up 3 touchdowns. Like, I don't need 5 touchdowns. I need 3 touchdowns, get the right guys. But the problem is that we don't have running backs. We don't have guys like that anymore. We don't.
That's the concept in MLB behind vomit stacks, is to be able to fit Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton, and DJ LeMahieu as like a 3-man, and then you also stack the Marlins.
Right, and also you have 2 ace pitchers. Like it used to, right? You'd like, I'm going to play DeGrom and Cole in the same lineup. It's like, well, how the hell do you fit that in? By stacking the Pirates, right? I mean, like that's the way that you do it.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not about the vomit stack. It's about the construction in general. And the way that NFL DFS is now, there's no, I mean, even, and I don't consider Cooper Kupp and Devontae Adams to even be those guys either.
No.
We don't have those 35 touch running backs with minus 250 anytime goals, anytime touchdown that get 10 targets. Like those seasons for Le'Veon Bell and David Johnson, Todd Gurley, Tomlinson, if you want to go even further back, and then Sean Alexander, even. I mean, like we just don't have those.
Right.
We don't have Emmitt Smith and Thurman Thomas. We don't have those guys anymore.
Right.
In fact, most likely, if you play those guys and you play them at 9K, they're going to get injured at some point in the game. Most likely.
And they're going to go on IR, and then they're going to come off and then get injured again and then get COVID. So,
right.
Welcome to season-long football.
A lot of football talk today.
Yeah, I thought this was fun. We never do this.
We never actually talk about the sport.
Because we're spreadsheet nerds.
Right, because we're spreadsheet virgins, as Levin. Right. But if you want to learn how to play the game, not the sport, the game of DFS, Theory of Daily Fantasy Sports, how to think like a professional DFS player. Available, theoryofdfs.com. James, you're at paydirt_DFS. And I am at Blender HD. And sign up for RotoGrinders Premium so you could join the Blenders Game Theory channel in the Discord. We're having Zoom calls nearly every week, group coach calls. And the next one is tomorrow. So click on the link in the description. Get $10 off your first month of RotoGrinders Premium. And join the Discord. Join the Blenders Game Theory channel. And you get like private coaching in a group setting on Zoom. So that'll be tomorrow. And then I will be back on Thursday, right? NBA, dude. How does anyone? I mean, I've been watching the Twitter of the news in NBA. Like, how the way this continues? How the Christmas slate is all staggered games. How is that? How is that even playable?
It's not. I mean, NBA DFS right now is hardly playable as is.
Hardly. I mean, understand that if you want to extend your mental energy to the power of the sun, there's extensive edge that you could have in NBA DFS.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
But understand that you're gonna need a piss cup. You can't get up from your the guy that's supposed to be in, because the other guy got COVID, is now out for an injury 3 minutes before this game. And then the starting lineups aren't even correct, because no one knows that they're signing 4 guys off the street the day of.
You know how hard it is to build projections when half of the slate is off the G League?
Half the slate wasn't even in the G League. I mean, I tweeted out, James, you must have saw it, that it seems like I did a glance, even though I'm not playing NBA DFS until football season's over. I looked at the injury report, and the injury report was like 12 pages long. And then I looked at the active, who is active for these teams. And I swear, like I know I play NBA DFS, so it's not like I follow the NBA, but I know like all the main players for the team. I mean, because I roster them because I'm building lineups and everything. I look through the roster. I'm like, dude, like almost half these players I've never seen these names before,
Right.
and it felt like playing NBA Live in like franchise mode and going, I'm gonna just simulate 15 seasons as they create new rookies like each year, and then it's like, oh, you get like the unknown guy from the beginning is like now the star, and then you have all these other people, and it's like, yeah, that's what Jordan Nwora feels like, right? Like what? Like he's the guy that has all the good ratings. It's because he's a 36-year-old, all-star, but all these other computer generated players are here. It's like, how is it? How can you, some of these teams and their rotations, how is it even possible to even come close?
Well, and the thing is that like you put together these projections the best that you can, and then the Sixers exist. And the Sixers will literally just scratch like Tyrese Maxey. It was the other day. It was like 4 minutes before Slate Lock. Their injury report has been out and updated multiple times. Tyrese Maxey is not on this injury report. And then he gets ruled out with a quad injury 4 minutes before lock. And it's like, did he trip? Like, did he fall off the bus? Like, what happened to where he gets scratched? Joel Embiid has a rib injury that is bad enough to sideline him for multiple games. Not on the injury report, gets ruled out with a rib injury after lock.
They don't care. They don't care about our DFS teams. They don't care.
Weren't there like integrity fees that were supposed to be tacked onto these teams? Like, how is this happening? I hate it so much. I will be like, if I have NBA DFS at PayDirt next year, I will be surprised because I hate it.
Yeah, but that's the main reason why I'm not playing until football season is done. And even after then, who knows?
No, after that, dude, just play League of Legends and Counter-Strike. Like, you don't even need NBA DFS ever again. You don't even need it.
I'll think about it. I mean, it's coming closer to that type of choice of like,
dude, I've got the best projections for esports over at PayDirt. Just come get a sub. Promise.
So go there if you want that. Sign up to RotoGrinders if you want this. But I'll see you on Thursday for another edition of the DFS pregame show, answering your DFS strategy questions as always on RotoGrinders.com.